Hello everyone, my name is Alex Wahid, the founder of the International AI Ethics Initiative. Today, I'm giving you a quick crash course in AI ethics for normal people, not necessarily engineers or lawyers who study this stuff every day. I fell in love with AI ethics at Imperial Global Summer School, where I met the co-founder of the International AI Ethics Initiative, Max King. He is currently studying in the United Kingdom and will not be joining us for this episode, but will be joining us in the future. Let's start simple to understand what AI actually is, because if you don't actually know what AI is, you're not going to be able to understand the AI ethics. AI today is basically a pattern machine. It takes patterns from past data and uses them to make decisions in the present. Old AI was just a set of rules. If X, then Y. Modern AI, essentially machine learning, learns patterns from data, and generative AI is like ChatGPT, goes even further than machine learning and creates new content from the patterns that were once learned. So everything AI does is essentially built on past data, or data just in general, and that exactly is where the problem starts. It starts with data. AI has been around for several years now. It's not just some futuristic technology that hasn't been implemented into our society. It's already making decisions in places you might not expect. In healthcare, AI sources risks, flags illnesses, and even influences triage. In hiring, AI screens resumes and ranks applicants. In education, it checks for plagiarisms and even assists in assignments. And in science, especially physics, AI runs simulations that researchers depend on. So when we all say AI affects real people, it actually does. It affects the lives of hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of people every single day, and that's why it's important that the AI that we are using is ethical and proper. Even though these fields seem completely different, there's 4 main failures that happen over and over again. The first being bias or narrow data. This essentially means that if data comes from mostly one group of people, or the majority, which is happening a lot specifically in healthcare, but it applies to all of the sectors that we talk about, the AI learns loop-sided patterns that don't represent all sides of the population. Next is proxy scoring. This essentially is AI using shortcuts that stand in place for merit, like schools or zip codes, instead of actual valuable skills that someone may have. Next is opacity. Most AI systems cannot really explain why they make decisions. Even experts can't really decode why or understand why. And that just comes down to AI is just advancing so rapidly, we can't really see why some stuff is happening. And lastly is weak contestability. If AI gets something wrong, some people have almost no way to challenge it or get it reversed because they don't even know why it's wrong or if it's wrong. So they often are just going with these poor answers that AI could be giving to them. These 4 issues show up in all major fields, from healthcare, hiring, education, and physics. And that ultimately is the core of the argument of our research, is that if these 4 issues and many more are showing up in these 4 drastically different fields, then obviously there needs to be a fix that covers all of these fields at once. This may have you question, so when does AI actually need ethics or ethical guidelines? And the easy answer is whenever it affects someone in a high-stakes situation. Essentially, a high-stakes situation means anything that affects access to care, jobs, grades, or scientific claims in our, sector study. These decisions influence people's lives, so the standards should be a lot higher than just, a random essay. And that kind of boils down to the key question of contestability. Can I understand what's happening? Can I question it? And can someone actually reverse what AI is outputting? We need to understand why current fixes fall short. And there's a ton of fixes to AI ethics tools, such as modeled cards, audits, checklists, but often these fail in practice. And you may be asking, why is this happening? Why are they failing? And first is that they're too far from where decisions actually happen. The model might be documented, but the decision isn't. Second, they aren't practical for schools or small businesses or public teams with very small and limited resources. And third is that they don't give individuals, the people affected, so the minorities, any way to challenge the AI's decisions. So the tools sound really good on paper, but the issue is they don't solve any core failures. Our approach looks at it from all of these angles and is rather simple. Ethics should be attached to the decision, not buried within the model. We created a lightweight, decision attached record that follows all high stakes use of AI, and really it contains just these four simple things: scope and non use limits, evidence, not necessarily status proxies, uncertainty and human review conditions, and lastly a real path for challenge with reversal authority. This keeps the process fast and efficient, but actually makes it reviewable and accountable. Now, this is an example of how this lightweight framework would be used in real life. And for this example, we're going to use AI screening for job applications. The scope would be AI is only allowed to sort applicants for this role, not firing decisions, not for promotions, not for putting them in a rejection pile or a exception pile. Evidence would be it looks at skills, experiences, and the portfolio, not necessarily just the school name, the zip, age, or gender. These are all banned shortcuts, and if it looks at it, then it must be overviewed. Uncertainty and human review looks at the borderline cases don't get auto-rejected. They go straight to human review. So this is someone that may be on the edge of their skills being, good enough, but they need someone to overlook them. And then this is lastly looks at the contestation of this framework. If someone gets rejected, they can request a short explanation on why. A named reviewer can actually overturn those decisions as well. This makes AI helpful, but still accountable and still efficient. Now, you may be asking, how can the normal people, the non-lawyers and engineers, use this framework effectively? Whenever you're dealing with AI, whether it be a resume tool, a grading system, or a medical app, you should be asking four questions. First, you should be looking at the scope. What is AI allowed to decide? And what is it not allowed to decide? The evidence. What output is it using? Are there any banned shortcuts that we do not want? Uncertainty. What happens when it's not sure what to do? And lastly, contestation. How do I challenge a mistake and who may review it? If you can't answer these questions, the system isn't necessarily ethical. Now, we should talk about how you can use AI, whether you're a student, a worker, or part of a small team. For students and workers, you should try to understand what AI is saying rather than just copy and pasting whatever ChatGPT is putting into your prompt. Additionally, you should always do a manual overpass on top of key work because AI is known for sometimes getting stuff wrong, and if it gets something wrong on assignment, it's not the one to blame, it's you for not checking it. Lastly, you should always be aware that AI has the possibility of reinforcing stereotypes, so you need to question what is being outputted. For small teams, you should try to only start with one workflow and add a mini decision record. And as your process is either get a lot of appeals or mistakes, you should really start to modify how your workflow is working. Because if you're getting a lot of appeals or mistakes, obviously, your AI is not very good. This use of AI is extremely lightweight. It's still fast. It's still reliable. and it creates accountability without needing a lot of oversight. Everything in this presentation comes from our research paper me and my co-founder, Max Kang, built. That research paper is named Towards Ethical Artificial Intelligence, a Principle for Global Implementation. This research paper is not yet publicly accessible, but it will be in the near future if it gets published. If it were not to be published, it'll still become available at a sooner date. Our work tries to take what happens across sectors from healthcare, business, education, and science, specifically physics, and find shared ethical failures that everyone keeps repeating. The result is a simple framework that anyone from schools, businesses, students, families, or professionals can use to keep AI decisions fair, reviewable, and accountable. Thank you for listening. If you want help applying this framework within your school, business, organization, I urge you to reach out to me, whether it be in the comments or another form of communication. I would be happy to help you guys. This is a global issue, but we can start by making small practical steps wherever you guys are. And with that being said, thank you for your attention and thank you for listening.